And welcome to Google News Initiative Digital Growth Program. My name is Lawrence, and in the chat answering your questions will be Romy today. Today we're going to talk about digital publishing success, and it's the first lesson of the business strategy suite of lessons, and I will show you where this lesson sits within the bigger context. So this is digital publishing success within the business strategy part. And as you can see, there is a broader lesson plan, which has many items. And today it's about business strategy, but there's also audience development, data management, advertising revenue, and reader revenue. You can pick whatever you like, where you want to attend. You just have to register. I will tell you some other options later on. But for now, we're going to discuss and show you options, tools, checklists, and things to think about, to ponder, if you want to look into business strategies and find some inspiration. So again, my name is Lawrence, and Romy is in the chat. So if you do have any questions or comments, please do put them here in the questions right underneath or right next to this video, and we'll see and try if we can answer them. So I'm going to wish you a lot of fun and hopefully a lot of inspiration as well. I do want to say one more thing to get the most out of the training. Obviously, these are just options, but it's your actions that are most valued. So we want to help you and show you the variety of options that are out there and that are available to you. However, it is really important for us to say that these are just options in the world of digital publishing. Online is complex, and you might have your own audience, you might have your own resources, you might have your own targets, your own mission and vision. So the amount of resources available varies within every newsroom. So we're here to show you case studies, what other newsrooms have done that worked for them, and it's up to you to base your actions based upon these case studies, these inspirations, these toolkits or tools or checklists. So that said, the actions and next steps you take, you decide, and they're going to be different, obviously based on your needs, your experience, and your aims. So today it's business strategy, digital publishing success. Well, the world of news continues to change. I think everyone knows, agrees, and experience. And there is a split regarding how publishers will earn their revenues in the future. So based on a study, you could say that there's 14% of publishers that think, when asked the question, what will be your main source of income and your income stream moving forward, that 14% says advertising only, and 50% says it might come from reader revenue, and 36% advertising and reader revenue. So a combination of these might sound familiar. You might experience this trend already. Today we're going to focus on three things. And these things are digital value proposition, digital publisher business models, and digital strategy. So these three: value proposition, publisher business models. There are many different models, and strategy. So let's go into the first one. And please, I must state once more, do ask your questions or say hi to Romy and me and the other participants. Maybe let us know where you're from, which newsroom you're affiliated with. And if you do have any questions on business strategy, please put them in the chat in the live Q&A section. Now, first topic of today is digital value proposition. Let's focus on your digital value proposition. Now, you can split the expression into two because it says digital and value, and we should break it down, and it might be easier to understand if we break it down. And let's start with value first. So which magazine would you pick up? So say you're interested in sports. We all know there were some big events last weekend, be it football, soccer, tennis, or cycling. Which one would you pick up if you would be interested in last weekend's sports? So which one would you pick up from the newsstand? Would it be the magazine or the newspaper? It could be a tabloid with sports supplement containing a pullout of the latest action from the weekend, low cost. Or it could be a glossy sports magazine with in-depth interviews from the biggest sports stars. So I think it's quite easy to see the difference, the value proposition right here between the magazine and the newspaper. So when we are thinking in an offline world, it might be fairly easy. But if the word digital comes into the mix, things seem to become a bit more complex. So let's look at that. So let's start with value. Now, we are going into the 6C models, but we only take 4Cs to go through with you. Community, customization, choice, and convenience. It's a model based on research by Dave Chaffee. It's the 6Cs model, but we only go into the 4Cs. It's a recognized tool in higher education as well. Some of these you might already use as a publisher, but some might give you some new angles, new options. So this 4C model looks at ways to improve classroom motivation and student participation, but it could also be applied to your audience and to your publishing context. So let's go into them one by one. Customization, it's the personalization, you could say, of content or products to individuals or groups. For example, it's the news you want when you want it. The next one is community, and the customer forums such as troubleshooting or exchanging tips. Example could be the local news. Now, the third one, convenience, the 24/7 availability, or fast turnaround time, after-sales services, refund guarantees. Think of it as breaking stories, the live blog, perhaps. Those are things that are convenient. People want to stay up to date, and this is the value you could offer from a convenience perspective. The fourth one I want to address is choice. That gives you a broader range of products, services, additional methods of payment, flexible delivery, ease of return. Those are all choice. When you consider this in a more news context, it would be one-stop shop for everything on X, Y, Z. So your particular strength and expertise from maybe your editors or people out there in the field doing the reporting. Now, this is value, but the first part was digital. Now, let's focus on digital. It means new opportunities to reach audience and bring your content to life. You could reach your audience through search, through social, through advertising, through word of mouth. Think of influencers, or by email, which is growing quite fast. You will see in other lessons as well. And obviously, there is delivery. We might say speed, but not as in quickness, but as access to market. Because when you go digital, you can reach your market directly. But think about speed as access to market. So that's what digital does, or might open up to you. And you can bring content to life. So that's the right-hand column. Sites, apps, video, audio, engagements, interactions. So these are all digital forms, new opportunities to reach your audience and bring your content to life. So we have digital value. Now, I want to show you some examples of publishers that are getting it right, and let's see what they do, how they make their digital value propositions work for them. It might give you some inspiration to see what you could take away from those cases. So first one is Tortoise Media. They're also called the so-called slow news site. They were founded by James Harding, who is ex-editor of The Times and ex-director of news and current affairs at the BBC. They use community, for example, and interactions through technology, choice, intelligence, and networking. So a couple of years ago, Tortoise Media felt that mainstream news and media were not working, so they proposed a radical solution, a subscription news service which focuses on including readers, fostering community. I'll tell you more about it in a bit. Networking, investigating the news stories using intelligent data reporting, and focusing on slow news to increase reliability, accuracy, and trust. So they created a different type of news outlet which fosters community and actively includes readers by hosting talks, which are called think-ins or listen-ins. You might have heard of those already. So they were hosting talks, discussions, and community events. And their subscription package offers not only the news stories in digital, but also in person and those digital think-ins as well, where maybe these last 18 months we've come to more accustomed to doing virtual online meetings as well. What one of the founders said, James Harding, is we're trying to imagine a new kind of newsroom that combines the openness of letters and the disciplines of leaders in the way that others have refashioned the lecture. We're taking the central forum of discussion and decision making in the newsroom and inviting in people from all walks of life. So all these people are invited to actually set parts of the agenda what Tortoise should cover or report on. And that's the first example of how newsrooms are using digital value propositions. Second one is from Slovakia. That's Denik N. It's an independent digital and print newspaper in Slovakia, founded in January 2015 by journalists who were previously working for the national newspaper. So Denik means daily paper, and N stands for Nezavislost, or independence. So daily paper, an independent daily paper. They focus on creating longer news stories to engage readers and differentiate the paper from other outlets. Its independence is communicated consistently across its digital channels, website, app, subscriptions, podcasts, YouTube. And what Philippe Struharik from Denik N said, we learned that we have to be digital first and focus on journalism that matters, not average 500-word stories that every news site has. Maybe another quote that reinforces their independence. He says, create a new medium that no one will suspect, that it serves someone other than the readers. That's what Matus Kostolny, another employee of Denik N, told us. So think about what they do as a value proposition. If we look at the screen, they use convenience and customization, and they bring their content to life in many different forms: website subscriptions, podcast, YouTube. So it lives in many ways, their content. Pink News it works to connect readers who care about a particular LGBT plus issue to those advocating for equality in our society. And after reading a news article or watching a video on an issue they care about, readers rarely find a concrete, immediate way to take action. And at the moment, all they can really do is comment, share, or like. You might be familiar with those actions. But the Pink News advocacy platform, part of the wider Pink News offering, is for readers who want to do more, to connect them to charities and activists who are striving to change the world, offering them a number of unique actions to take after consuming content. So as you can see again, they take these from the 4 C's. They take community as a big part of their digital value proposition, and they bring their content to life via the website, but also via the Pink News advocacy platform, where they facilitate these interactions. So these were 3 examples, Tortoise Media, Pink News, and Denik N, of what digital value propositions, how it could manifest itself and how you could facilitate it. We do want to emphasize on what digital value proposition is not. Well, it is not a technology trend, for example. So 3 years ago, The Guardian was convinced that virtual reality was about to enter the mainstream. So in October 2016, the British news publisher announced that it had launched a 2-person team dedicated to exploring the medium. So they built a dedicated virtual reality app, Guardian VR, it was called, and it debuted nearly a year later, so 2017. And the New York Times launched their own VR mobile app in 2015, and they produced a dozen VR projects by its own, with its own studio, content studio, T-Brand Studio. And they won a Cannes Lion in 2016. But it's about a transition. So technology will play a role in your digital value proposition, but technology is not really what you're selling. Think about the 4 C's again. So let it be a tool. Let technology be a tool to reach your audience in new and exciting ways. So the Telegraph is using artificial intelligence, and as you can see here, it is a tool. It's not a value of the publisher. They use data automation technology and AI, but as Nick Hugh from the Telegraph said, we will provide automated and personalized customer journeys as we broaden the scope of our interactions and transactions with our customer base. So they use technology as a tool, but it's not part of their digital value offering or digital or analog at all. Now, another one is a Radar, which also uses AI, again, as a technology, as a tool, but not as the value. for the publisher. And as Pete Clifton, the editor-in-chief by the Press Association, said, what we're trying to do here is create more localized content, bringing good human reporting together with clever automation. So they used the tool in order to create a bigger value to their audience. So they received funding, the Radar project by the Press Association. They received funding from the Google Digital News Innovation Fund to create Radar, which is resulted in software that leverages artificial intelligence to improve local news reporting. So how it works, let me explain you a little bit. It uses AI to crawl datasets and fill in stories. So it's a form of automated reporting which enables readers to discover facts and datasets relevant to them based upon geography, interests. So again, there could be a bit of customization. Think about the value proposition from the 4Cs. So customization could be one. It's a way of increasing the amount of stories local newspapers, often severely underfunded, can create. So think about how technology could help you deliver more value to your audience, for your readers. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you showcasing your value in a digital world? How well are you getting your messages across? Think about it for a moment. I'll take a sip of water and I'll look to Romy to see if there are any questions yet or any remarks which I should address. There are some questions, so I would like to know, maybe Romy, could you come on live on the stream and see what the questions are, and maybe you or I could address them?
Yes, hi. So we have interaction here in our chat. So we have, Cheyenne from India, Leia from Nigeria, and Phuc from Vietnam. So there was Cheyenne asking an interesting question, which is, don't you think we need to enhance interaction to our digital properties in a much bigger manner, not by bots, but by human touch? And the other one is, somebody also asks for advice, which we can advise later, when we will advise our, round tables. So the question is, don't we think we need to enhance interaction to our digital properties in a much bigger manner, not by bots, but by human touch?
I think, Shayan Kumar, thank you for your question. I think it's a very thoughtful and very interesting question, which I think has many layers to address and to answer. If I do understand your question correctly, and please, Romy, do help me here, is don't you think we need to enhance interaction to our digital properties in a much bigger manner? Stating it that way, I think the answer would definitely be yes. And I would love to know what kind of enhancements you're thinking of, Cheyenne. If you could enlighten us a bit more, maybe we'll get back to it later at the end of the session. There is another opportunity for us to discuss, also with the advice question. There is a roundtable session later today, where you can join a very lively, very interactive Google Meet session, and you can sign up for the roundtable session. I will point to it later on. But that might be a way of discussing more and to get to know your ideas and thoughts on enhancing interaction. What I do know, the second part of your question, which is more of a statement, I think, not by bots but by human touch. If we look at the Radar project, what they were saying, and I know from another project in the Netherlands, but done by RTL News, is that they use automation to create, say, the sort of ingredients for local reporting that local reporters might not be able to do, because, as I said earlier, they're underfunded in most regions and countries. Local journalism has a very hard time getting funding and to sustain their business models. I think what is interesting is if automation helps to get the facts and the parts you need to do proper reporting, I think automation could help you and your newsroom to address the things, or to come up with the things that you as a human reporter could write about in a human way, really engaging your readers, but that the bots could make sure that you get more of the well, let's say the sort of raw product which you as a human turn into good reporting, engaging with your readers. I hope this answers and addresses your question a bit. But again, do join us later today for the roundtable session, where we might go into that and dive a bit deeper into your question. So please do let us know, Cheyenne, if we answered your question. If there are any other questions, please do use the live Q&A, the chat, and Romy might be able to answer them, or we could go into them and address them later on. Now, let me continue for now. Question I posed earlier was, are you showcasing your value in a digital world? How well are you getting your message across? Let us go into ways how you can amplify your core values with digital tools. So consider, this will be an activity, consider how digital tools could be used to amplify your values to a wider community. Find out what other online publishers with similar values are doing and what tools they are using. Well, for example, you know what social media can do, but what can it do for your values? How are other publishers using it, successfully or otherwise? Well, here's what video can do, but what can it do for your values? So think about it again. If you look at this this picture here, so we have the 4 C's: community, customization, choice, and convenience. And digital, there are many ways, digital tools you could use to amplify those values via using search, social media, advertising, video, apps, websites, audio, and interactions. So think about it. It's an activity you could do. How could you amplify your values? Now, there are different types of business models, digital publisher business models. Let's focus on the options you might have. Now, in the last few years, the big question is, will people pay? People have become accustomed to the idea of paying monthly subscriptions for digital services, all things digital in the digital world. Think about Netflix, HBO, Spotify, adding extra storage space in iCloud or Dropbox, to paid versions of your favorite apps on your telephone, tablets, laptops. Well, the more often people run into something they like that is based on a subscription model, the more familiar and natural it feels to pay monthly for digital services. Also, new payment technology has made it easier than ever to convert visitors to paying subscribers, and readers can now get access to locked content in only, say, 5 to 20 seconds. Well, a recent study has indicated that a growing percentage of millennials will pay for the news, but they will usually only buy a single membership. International brand names and specialized outlets such as The Information and The Athletic are growing in popularity as they cater to niche interests. So if you look at the slide we're showing right now, so some will pay for news. It could be brand value, convenience, to avoid ads, veracity, expert analysis, the high quality you offer on a day-to-day or weekly basis. But some won't, because might already have too many subscriptions. They're subscribed elsewhere, or they're just an occasional reader coming for this very particular piece of content. Now, how will they pay? So if they are prepared to pay, how will people pay, and how will they pay? Well, usual methods are subscriptions and donations, but there are 100 different ways to skin a cat, right? Reading the some won't column, how could you, as a digital news publisher, earn from these people? You could consider driving revenue through adverts, affiliates, and even commerce. So think about those as well. Now, a few case studies to give you maybe some inspiration on what kind of business models are out there actually being tried and tested. So Expressen is a Swedish daily national newspaper in Sweden. And like other newspapers, they held back from charging for online content for years because they were concerned it might reduce traffic and result in unhappy readers. But in the end, Expressen has found a balance between ads and subscriptions using the so-called freemium model. And some readers are willing to pay for it and others are not, and they can keep on reading the free content like before. So they followed in the footsteps of the German newspaper Bild, and two of the large newspapers in their neighboring countries, Norway, Dagbladet and VG. They also chose a freemium model. Well, the freemium model doesn't suit every news media publisher, but it's one option to consider. Espresso was very aware that premium service could possibly hurt its overall strategy to become the largest newspaper in the Nordic countries, because that was, again, their strategy, becoming the largest newspaper in the Nordic countries. But this is no longer a concern, so the premium service didn't hurt their overall strategy. As one of the people involved in the project for the premium model said, Dan Edström, we have come to the conclusion that we can now add a subscription solution on top of our goal to become the largest. So it doesn't have to cannibalize or fight each other, those different goals or targets. So the question is, what's next? Again, as we started, the world of news has changed and will continue to change. So digital news publishers are constantly reviewing and evolving their strategies. Think about the survey we started with. What do you think, and in what ways will people pay, or in what ways will sustain your business? So by advertising only, by advertising and reader revenue, or reader revenue. And these were the results from a Reuters Institute research report. So think about what your strategy could be. Well, another case, El Correo, which is from Bilbao and the north of Spain. They learned how to adapt. They had accrued 4,500 digital subscribers, and then they hit a plateau. So the page views dropped, but advertising revenue didn't fall as much as they feared. So this was because the most expensive ads they were serving were the ones on the homepage, and those were not behind the paywall. So in October 2018, the paper relaunched its pay model by reducing the number of free articles and building a more rounded value proposition. So the company put more items behind the paywall and marked those pieces as such. So journalists focused on topics that were important for some of their readers, such as female sports and local football teams. And they also created a true crime section where local reporters revived content from the archive and wrote about things that happened in the city a few decades before. So, as Fernando Belzunce, the editorial director, said, these sections don't generate a lot of traffic, but they build loyalty and amplify our brand. So think about these topics that were important for some of the readers, again, like female sports, like true crime section, local football teams. Again, they don't generate a lot of traffic, but they build loyalty and amplify our brand. So that could be in your strategy as well. The challenge now is transforming frustration into excitement. It's not just about the paywall. Once you are a subscriber, you receive newsletters on your favorite topics and enjoy discounts from our loyalty club. Again, those are the words by Fernando Belzunce, who is the editorial director of El Correo. In the end, the relaunch worked. El Correo signed up thousands of new readers, reaching 12,000 from 4,500 in 2018. Let me check those facts. Yeah. Somewhere in 2018, they had 12,000 subscribers in March 2019. Again, the editorial director said, we are much happier now because we see that our marketing strategy is working, and also because the new model is helping us transform our newsroom. So very interesting what El Correo did here. Now, another case study is by The Guardian. They launched their initial membership model on September the 10th, 2014. The original scheme focused on, which was published in a news article at the time, on a rolling program of events, discussions, debates, interviews, keynote speeches, and festivals. It had 3 tiers: friends, partners, and patrons. So friends didn't pay anything, partners paid £15 a month and could get discounts and priority bookings for some of the events, and patrons paid £60 a month, British pounds, and had an extra level of access. So it was an important moment for The Guardian, and a few weeks later it would overtake the New York Times as the second most popular English language newspaper website behind the Daily Mail. So the newspaper finances, however, didn't look good. Circulation had been cut in half in a few years, and it posted an annual loss of over 30 million British pounds and would lose 227 million in total from 2009 to 2016. So with other British newspapers setting up paywalls, many people wondered whether The Guardian would follow suit. But The Guardian's membership model started to take shape at a readers' conference in 2012. During a session with Clay Shirky, editor-in-chief Alan Rusbridger said the audience would have to pay to sustain the newspaper. Then asked him a question. Clay Shirky asked him a question. Would they prefer giving money to the newspaper as a cause or paying a monthly fee to get tickets and discounts? So readers were were incredibly unenthusiastic about tickets, says Rusbridger, but many were willing to give money so our journalism could be available for everyone as a public good. They saw The Guardian as a cause. So this is an interesting perspective on the membership model. So the original membership model didn't take off, but it gathered around only 12,000 members in the first year. But at the end of the fiscal year 2018-19, The Guardian had over 600,000 regular supporters, and over 365,000 were members and recurring contributors. So the remarkable turnaround, to sum it up, The Guardian's remarkable turnaround happened after it put its editorial mission at the center of the membership program. So the management changed tack when the data didn't support the initial vision. They recognized that the plastic bucket was more powerful than any loyalty scheme. To finish off with a quote by Rusbridger, the editor-in-chief, people on editorial are not good at things like logistics and flexible pricing, but commercial people sometimes don't trust that incredible bond between the reader and the journalist. They don't quite get that. We had published an incredible range of stories throughout the years. So many people said, I will support you because we think you are what a newspaper should be. So it's interesting of these dynamics in the newsroom with, as Rusbridger said, the commercial people and the editorial people. Maybe it sounds familiar. And think about what The Guardian did here. Now, the third part of today, after looking at business models and digital value, is digital strategy. It combines the former two topics. No two publishing businesses are the same, and we can look to others, but success will be determined by our approach and strategy, which means your approach and strategy. Now, before we go into this, I am going to look once again if there are any questions and see if Romy has addressed some or that there are any other questions we could address right now live on the stream. And I'm going to look into the questions right now.
Yes, we have. Actually, Leia was asking really, useful questions. He asked, what are the technologies you would recommend newsrooms to use to improve performance, personalization, content management, and so on in advertising, and also about reader revenue model. I would really, I sent our, GNI Digital Growth EMEA at google.com email address. If you have specific questions to your, let's say, publishing house, magazine or similar, send an email and be really specific with your request and what you want to know. That would be my recommendation, because it's easier to do that. Or I also shared our, roundtables details where we could actually speak to each other and, try to find answers. Lawrence, I don't know if you'd like to add something.
Yeah, again, thank you, Romy, for already addressing this question, and thank you, Leia, for asking this question. It's a bit broad and has many different answers. So I think the roundtable session would be a good opportunity to engage with others and with us, and to discuss some of the possible solutions or directions you could take. One of the things to improve in performance would be to look at the web dev tools, the web vitals. I don't know if you have come across it. If you look into the other lessons that are offered during this GNI Digital Growth Program, one of them will cover web vitals, which helps you to assess but also get some recommendations on improving performance. And it's more on a technical level, but also on UI, UX, but also loading speed, accelerated mobile pages, AMP, things like that. Again, for those things, look into web vitals. For the other things, they're quite broad, and there are many questions in one question. So please, I do want to invite you to join us later today, for the roundtable session where we can address some more of the different parts of your question. So hope to see you again, Leia, later today. Um, and then Cheyenne also had another question. Can digital publishers target institutional subscription for their content? Libraries of all universities, government offices, NGOs? I'm reading the comments right now. What is that we can give them as something exclusive? Well, that's something I or we are not able to easily address. I think, again, as said, it depends on your context, your mission, your vision, what value you offer, and then how you should have to think about how that would translate if you were offering value to libraries or university, NGOs, government offices. What do you have to offer that is of value to those target audiences? So think about that, and I hope this might help you lead to a solution or a service you could offer, which helps your strategy. Now, talking about strategy, and Cheyenne, please let us know if we've helped or addressed your question in a way or a bit. So please do let us know. And again, as for all people watching right now, please join us later today with a roundtable session to address these and similar and other questions that you might have that come up after attending this session. Now, for the third part, which is digital strategy. As said, no two publishing businesses are the same, so we can look to others, but success will be determined by our approach and our strategy. So think about it as a transition from from traditional to digital. So this could be a sample timeline showing how traditional businesses might move from offline publication to online, growing an audience, earning an income from ads and subscriptions before successfully diversifying into channels. Well, in the print world, most of the key publishing milestones are compressed into the initial launch phase, and then you're locked into a publishing and sales schedule. In the digital world, your product offering, as you can see maybe right here, is more fluid, and you can develop further in many ways over time as further opportunities present themselves. It could be today, it could be in 3 years. For example, you can launch a successful website first and think about app editions, video channels, other revenue models, and so on later when the circumstances are fit. Try to look at your entire journey, see your entire journey. So this is not an overnight transition, but a slow evolution with a predefined strategy. So if we go into the different layers one by one, know your audience, that's a constant. Write great content, obviously that's a constant too. And then you can diversify into daily print publishing, weekly publishing, and if you move to a more digital setting, then you have to build a digital infrastructure, grow your audience over there as well, maybe earn from ads. You could start a subscription model, launch an app, explore new revenue opportunities, try new technologies, and improve the experience. But you can also start with improving the experience from a digital standpoint and then go into the other actions. So again, it's up to you, your context, your audience, the resources you have available, how you will make this transition work if you start. But obviously, think about your strategy first. Now, so a successful digital publisher keeps an eye on readers, an eye on data, and an eye on their digital assets, a close eye. So these are your big priorities. Now, a question to ponder: have you considered your priorities? What needs to be done? So are you prioritizing readers, data, and assets? So what actually needs to be done to deliver your value on your maybe daily, weekly, or monthly basis? Well, there are different north stars in digital publishing success, and we'll be tackling these key priorities directly over several workshop sessions because these are big topics. But there are several sessions here in the GNI Digital Growth Program that cover these topics. So readers, get to know your new empowered readers and the journey they are on. There is a workshop on audience engagement, audience development. Excuse me. There's a workshop on audience development there. Then your data and how you use it will hold the keys to your success. So what do you know about your data? Understanding your data, using and creating data-driven content. There's a workshop on data management. And then third, there's digital assets. Well, just like printed products, you will love your digital assets, and optimizing your digital assets, as you can see here, is a workshop as a session, and that's covering this topic as well. So we've got a workshop on audience development, a workshop on data management, and a session on optimizing your digital assets. So if you need more help or want some inspiration on these three things, please look at our program. I will show you later on of all these different sessions we have in store for you. Now, it's good to emphasize once more: quality journalism matters. It's being valued, but do you get something in return to continue to generate high quality journalism? So in an online world of content, you have UX, personal service and curation, added value, relevance, impact, and emotional experience. Well, these are some of the key areas where you can build upon news in a digital world, helping you get the message out there while still building upon your quality journalism. So how can we give the consumer a higher quality experience? That's what Charlie Beckett, a professor from the London School of Economics, asked and said: quality is UX, personal service and curation, again, added value, relevance, impact, and emotional experience. So it's quite a lot that contains what quality means to people when it comes to high quality journalism. Well, it's time to wrap up this session, this first session. Here's a summary and some actions you could take. So we've covered 3 topics: digital value proposition, which we split into digital and value. The second one, digital publisher business models, and we've covered a few case studies in there as well. And then lastly, the digital strategy, or what options do you have to deliver to newsreaders and build repeat visits, build loyalty? The second one, digital publisher business models. How can you repurpose existing content to reach more readers and save time? And first, the digital value proposition. What media types are available to online readers? Now, these are the 3 topics we've covered today in this first session: business strategy, digital publishing success. Now, let me look once more to the chat and invite Romy again to the live stream to see if there are any other questions or things we should address. Think about your questions, and then after this I will signpost again what other lessons and options you have to continue on building and growing your digital and establishing a digital newsroom. I can see there are no questions at this time, so let me show you what else there is for you to attend or participate in. So to become a successful digital publisher, there are many things you could do after this. Obviously, there's a next session called Establishing a Digital Newsroom. It's about people and culture, your digital product, and emerging technologies. Growing your readership is one that sort of naturally comes after this lesson. And somewhere down in the advertising revenue, there is a column, as you can see. The first topic there is establishing your advertising strategy. It covers topics like ad strategy, types of ads, and ads experience. Now, Romy will share a link where you can find all the different sessions and lessons and how to register. So these are some of the options you have in becoming a successful digital publisher and getting some inspiration in case studies. Other options to continue your journey are the roundtables later today, as we've pointed to before. If you do have any questions or things you would like to address or discuss, please join us later today for a roundtable session, which is very interactive and lively with other viewers and participants. Next to that, there are labs, more training available via the G&I Digital Growth Labs. And thirdly, we would really love to have your feedback. It's important to us. This is how we can involve and improve our support. So Romy will be sharing the link for the feedback on this session with you. And please let us know what you do think of these sessions. And for now, hoping to see you at the roundtable sessions later today, or maybe at a different session later on today or this week. And wishing you good luck on your journey to become a very successful digital news publisher. My name is Lawrence, and thank you, Romy, in the chat. And thank you for your time and your thoughtful questions.